The next person I'd like to introduce to you is Dr. Janil Puthucheary. He's 39 years old. He's a senior consultant in the Children's Intensive Care Unit at KK Women's and Children's Hospital. He's also the Medical Director for Faculty Development and an Assistant Professor at the Duke NUS Graduate Medical School. He did his primary school education in KL, Malaysia, and then he went to the UK for secondary school. He graduated from the Faculty of Medicine at the Queen's University, Belfast in Northern Ireland, and went on to have postgraduate training in Belfast, London, and Sydney before he moved to and settled in Singapore in 2001. In 2001, Dr. Puthucheary developed the Children's Hospital Emergency Transport Service and trained many clinical staff to stabilize and transport the sickest babies and children in Singapore and from around the region. He continues to serve as a member of the team. Since January 2009, he has been helping at the Meet the People sessions, as well as several other grassroots activities in Radin Mas, Bedok, and now Pasir Ris Punggol GRC. Dr. Puthucheary tries to cycle to work, I'm told, as often as his schedule and the weather allows him to. He's married and he has 3 sons.
Thank you, sir, for the introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I chose to make Singapore my home because it's a wonderful place to live and it's a wonderful place to bring up my children. Before coming back here, my wife and I, we had the chance to live and study and work independently overseas for some time. And we love being back here in Singapore. We love being near our families. We love being engaged in their lives. And we love being part of a home with her parents. So we live with her parents and her grandmother. And now with our 3 kids, there's 4 generations in one home. So in other societies, this would be something strange or unusual. But for us in Singapore, for us as a family, this is something joyous and wonderful. Apart from our families, there are many other reasons why we chose to make Singapore our home. But major factors were the multiculturalism and the meritocracy. Ours is not a perfect society. We have not and may never reach the ideals that we're aiming for. But I passionately believe that we're far further along that road than any other place that I can think of. People often use the example of our rich cuisine as an example of the multiculturalism, but this is a reflection, it's a metaphor, a reflection for something much deeper, much more complex. It reflects a constant drive to further integrate. It reflects a constant thought that this is something that's important by itself and something that we always have to work at again and again with intent. This is something very, very important to me. I've lived as an adult longer in Singapore than in any other part of the world. And I'm very grateful for what we have here. It's very rare and it's very precious in this world. And I'm very excited to be involved in it. It's a little bit of why I'm in Singapore. I thought I would also share a little bit of how and why I came to be sitting here. So many years ago, before I got married, my wife and I, we were dating, we were going out. And we were going out for some time before we got married. And during that time, she got to know my parents very well. Spent a lot of time with my parents. And got to know my extended family very well. Spent a lot of time with them. And I'm sure that has something to do with the fact that when I finally, popped the question and I asked her, will you marry me? She said, yes, but are you ever going to go into politics? And I said, no way, not a chance, no hope. Then at that time, I was in medical school. And all I wanted to do was be a physician. Between the science and the medicine, there just wasn't any space for anything else in the world. So many years later, I find I'm writing letters at the Meet the People sessions. I find I'm drinking tea with some eminent people. And I find that I'm contemplating a path that's in conflict with what I told my wife many years before. So I sat her down. I said, look, we got something to talk about. I said, look, I told you I would never go into politics, but, and I paused, hoping she would say something, but she just looked at me, raised one eyebrow, I knew I was in trouble. And I said, look, I know I said I would never go into politics, but at the time, we were very young. I was very young. Now we know the world it's not a simple place, it's a complicated place. And now we have 3 children, And it's our expectation that as they grow up, we want them to be fully engaged, fully involved in the community around them. It's our hope that there are people who serve society, who contribute selflessly to the community around us. We believe that public service is an ideal in itself, and this is a value that we wanted to transmit on to our children. If anything should happen and we could not stand up for our children, our families could not stand up, we hope that there would be people in our community who would do so, speak on their behalf. So I said, how could I not get involved if these are the standards that we have of others, these are the expectations that we have of our community? How could I not contribute to this? How could I not get involved? So finally she spoke, thankfully. The pressure was off me. So she said, she had seen this conversation coming a long, long time before. Okay, so she knew of what I was doing, of course, and she knew the implications of the work that I was doing at the Meet the People sessions and the grassroots activities. She knew the implications of meeting and drinking tea with all the people, a lot of tea that was drunk. So she could see this coming a long, long time ago. But she didn't want to say anything. She wanted to wait, and she wanted me to be sure enough and to be confident enough to bring the subject up with her. She wanted me to be clear about why I was doing this. And of course, she understood that this was important work that had to be done. This was important for us and was important for our communities, and it was important that it had to be done. And now, of course, she understands that this is something that I have to do. Thank you very much for listening.